Hi, I'm Bhavini Kalaria from the London Law Practice, and today I'll be sharing with you 4 things to remember when buying a business. If you need some advice in this area, keep watching. There are a few key things to be aware of when purchasing a business to ensure that all goes smoothly during and after the transfer. Here we look at 4 of the main legal considerations that come with buying a business, including how to handle the transfer of major assets like property, sourcing investment capital, and making sure all is in order with the relevant government bodies. Number 1. Funding. When buying a business, you can either opt for debt financing, whereby you borrow money from an outside source like a bank, or you can pursue equity financing. Essentially, equity financing means you would sell stocks or shares of the target business to investors, typically venture capitalists or business angels or informal investors. Although equity financing removes the need to repay a loan, it does mean giving up partial ownership and possibly partial control of the business. Aside from these considerations, there are also important legal regulations governing how you may seek and secure funding from investors in private equity buyouts. A solicitor should therefore be consulted before undertaking any phase of a private equity transaction. Number 2. Property. If one of a business's assets is a commercial property, the lease or deed must be transferred at the same time as the business transfer. In the case of transferring ownership, how you are taxed on the property will be determined based on whether you are taking ownership as part of a share purchase or an asset purchase, so this should also be carefully considered. If the target business has leased a property, you will have to follow the proper legal procedures for requesting the landlord's consent to the lease assignment within the mandatory time frame, and you will need to accept any standard conditions imposed by the landlord before consent can be granted. Whether transferring a deed or lease, it is imperative that you review all of the documents, terms and conditions meticulously to ensure that they are reasonable. You must also conduct due diligence to check that the property has all necessary approvals from local authorities and any relevant regulatory bodies to be used for your commercial purposes. If there is any issue with the property in question, note that changing the business's location may impact on the business's success and value, so this is a critical aspect of the purchase. Number 3. Employee considerations. If you are planning to buy a company or part of a company, all permanent employees are protected by the Transfer of Undertakings Protection of Employment Regulations, or TUPE for short. TUPE provides that employees must retain their positions as well as all terms and conditions of their employment contracts under their new employer, unless a position is being made redundant or if the company is insolvent. To comply with TUPE, the outgoing employer must provide you with the written details of all the employees who will be transferred, including their rights and liabilities, any disciplinary records, collective agreements, and the particulars of each position. This must be done at least 14 days before the completion of the transfer. Unless liabilities have been divided with the outgoing employer in a formal agreement beforehand, you are then fully responsible for ensuring compliance with TUPE regulations after the transfer. And finally, number 4, formalities. The statutory requirements for notifying Companies House and HMRC of a business transfer vary according to the nature of the purchase agreement. In addition to different regulations on stamp duties, there are also different instruments and procedures to be considered according to the type of purchase agreement. As such, a solicitor must be consulted before you decide on whether you wish to purchase shares or assets, and then, throughout the process of the transfer, a solicitor should ensure that all legal regulations are complied with in full when notifying the relevant government bodies of the transfer. For more information or for specialist legal advice on any aspect of company or commercial law, contact us at the London Law Practice today.